So welcome to the Node.js N-API Team meeting for October 21st, 2019. We'll follow our standard agenda, which is to go through the things we've tagged with milestone 11. And we will start with, does anybody have any announcements or information they'd like to share?
Juan is in the participants. I
think I've promoted everybody now. Any other announcements?
Just happy to see some new faces.
Yeah, so welcome to, we have a number of new people. It's good to have people participate for sure. I guess we'll start by going through the list, and then we can see if there's anything else we want to talk about. So the first one is building add-ons with CMake.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. So yeah, that's the first issue, building add-ons with CMake. I think Jim was checking out whether we got a good message or not.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then I have a PR out there that actually adds some documentation. I think that's ready to land if it's okay with you guys.
And you made, yeah, so I think it will look pretty good to me. Anybody else have any comments or?
Opening it as we speak.
Oh, it's okay for me. Yeah, I can review now. Oh.
Okay, yeah, that definitely addressed my thing, so I think I'm good.
So do I need to wait a week or is it ready to go?
I think once, I think it's ready to go unless anybody else has comments or wants you to wait.
If Gabriel has comments, I can include those also.
Gabriel, you still taking a look, or
Yeah, I'm taking a look. I'm opening it, and I found that in the meantime, the reason I didn't open it yet is that I found that the Legendicast's error PR just got a green light on AIX, so we should be good to land that one as well.
Okay. So let's go back. So it sounds like I guess, Jim, unless there's specific comments from Gabriel today, you're good to go.
Okay, very good.
Okay, and this one, I think we can probably close out this issue. Given there's a PR, it's going to land.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, does the PR mark this as getting fixed?
I'm not sure.
No, I don't think I did that, Gabriel.
Yeah, so that would be good to tie the two together.
Okay.
I think if you say fixes : and then the link to the issue, the landing the PR will actually close the issue.
Okay.
So that's a good.
Is that a general GitHub thing versus?
Yeah. It's when a commit lands on master that says fixes : and then link to the issue, then that will auto close the issue.
Okay.
And it'll actually say closed in blah blah blah.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. So we'll let that be closed for the next one, but we can probably move on.
Okay.
What should go into N-API 5? I don't know if there's anything new on that. There was a 10 release. Was there a December minor 10 release?
I don't know. I'll check. But last I checked, which was I think Friday or so, I didn't see it. But
okay,
let's see.
Maybe I was just thinking of something else.
Check out v12.x staging. Git fetch origin v12.x staging. Okay, git reset hard fetch.
No, yeah, I don't see
But there's working on 12.13.1, whereas it used to be 12.12. So let's see. Oh boy. What should I be looking for? Well, git log would be a good start.
Yeah, I know. I looked at the change log. there's nothing since August. So
We have the 8, the release of the 8.16.2, and then the 12.13.0. So these are the last announcements.
yeah, so I guess we're still waiting on the 10.x. Nothing else to talk about on this one, I don't think, though.
Oh, 10.x, right.
Yeah, because basically that's where 5 will land there for.
Yeah. So we'll need to see if a release was cut with these changes, right? That's the thing. Okay, I was looking at 12. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't gone out yet anyway, though.
Okay.
Okay. Additional async worker variants. So this one, async progress worker. I think last I noticed was this. I'm just going to open it so I'm make sure I'm remembering correctly. It will open.
Yeah.
Right. So I think I'd looked at it, looked okay, but Gabriel then had some additional comments. I don't know if there's anything since we have.
I haven't
Go ahead.
updated the PR.
Okay. Do you have any questions or
I
anything?
updated the PR.
I just wondering, since you have Gabriel here, if you have any questions about his comments or it all makes sense.
It should be updated in a day or two. I recently will update it.
Okay, sounds good. So we're making progress on that one, which is good. Hopefully can land that and close that one out fairly soon. On the workshop front, so I don't know.
Okay, so I started working on the slides, and yeah, it's and yeah, Jose proposed to add this section, a section where to explain how to organize the project and what section to explain the main parts of binding zip file. I don't know. I think that we have only 1 hour and 50 minutes in the workshop, so we have a limited time. Yeah, I want just add these two slides. For now, Michael, I just started working today. Hope to finish very soon.
Okay. So which you were gonna add the 2 slides that were suggested, those or these 2 or 2 other slides?
No, these 2.
Okay.
And on the first one, say just how to organize a project for native add-on from scratch, and in other one, the how the binding.zip is organized, just to give an idea if our attendees never see this kind of project.
Right. That sounds useful to me. I don't know what other people think.
I think that's a pretty good idea.
Oh, okay. And yeah, I'm modifying some other slides, trying to be more expressive with some images and graphics. I hope to finish. So here, for example, I want show what is the problem about the API stability. So without an API, for the from the end user perspective and for maintainers. Okay, if you change Node.js version, you will get the mismatch module version that invite you to recompile your module. And for maintainers, these this means that end user will open the issue. And now if you search on GitHub, you will obtain about 2,000 issue about this problem.
Right.
Yeah, so it's and our for most part are native DOM.
Yeah.
That yeah, it's written with yeah, classical API, and yeah, I added the other two slides, the 13 and 14, where I want to explain how all works now, and in the next, yeah, what comes with yeah, and then yeah, after that there are the slides that Gabriel made last time, and yeah, I changed the history, and I preferred to add this timeline. For now, it's all. I will try to make progress for the next week. Obviously, I shared the link with all of you, and if you want to add content or want to suggest something to me, you are welcome.
One suggestion is to maybe update the authors. You know, maybe move some of them to like emeritus, right? Because we have new folks contributing, and they should be mentioned, I think, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, in this case, you I want suggestion. So yeah, we have for example. So you are saying remove from contributors, right?
It might be that it makes sense to like make the first line the active contributors.
Yeah. So I need to see a type stable node and right?
Yep.
Okay, so I will consider contributors who is in active in the active contributor list in both these in one of these repository. Is it a good matrix to
Yeah, except I think we need to update. There was a PR to update those. Not sure we ever fully landed them, right? Oh, well, there's no.
yeah,
like,
I think that you landed 2 or 3 days ago.
Okay, because there's one for ABI stable node. We probably need to do the same thing.
Yeah, because you did only on Node.js API.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's probably worth doing around there, and then that makes sense.
It may also be the case that we can no longer afford to put pictures like these because there are way too many people now, right? Especially if we keep old contributors around, I mean, this side will just get busier and busier, right? So at some point we're going to have to say and many others, you know.
True.
Yeah, and I start thinking to that I won't list the first name, last name, and GitHub handler with all these pictures. And yes, then I can add and more like you suggested.
Another thing that pops into my mind right now is I mean, node source, can we still list them? I mean, my understanding is that they don't exist anymore, but I wasn't really following that whole story. So
I've not really heard anything official, so I'm not sure I would necessarily change anything on that front.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah, wasn't sure.
I heard that this, but I saw in the last slides and that node source was made us contribute. So I just leave the logo. I don't know. I think that is right. Leave if they contributed.
Okay, no worries.
It's my idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, now the only other thing which we did do the last time, which we haven't talked too much about, is well, we should also get an update from Jim because I know he's working on the workshop, but we also did look for modules that were good candidates. I don't know if we're going to try and do that this time again.
Yeah, the fruit may not be so low hanging anymore, I think.
Right. And we will have more workshops, right? So like more things to go through. So it may be that.
Well, if we get lucky, we'll have the module authors come to us like we did last year at NodeConf EU, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So basically, maybe this time we can just leave it as, you know, if you have an idea, it's a time to work on it. Let's see, where do we have an agenda?
But in
right.
the on the last slide, we have a list, the list that we used last year.
Mm-hmm.
Just a minute.
Which slide was that? It was.
It may be on 32. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. No.
I lost the list. Okay. I have to go on my drive. I think that it is. No.
I'm also thinking maybe since Hitesh is now emeritus, maybe we should open it up to maybe add Kevin here, because he's been contributing a lot to Node.js N-API, right? And Legendicast, and basically.
Sure. Whoever else is at I don't know who else is going to be at the conference, but I'd be happy with that too.
I agree with you, and if Kevin and Legendicast won't add it their data, I will be happy.
Sure.
And
that's fine with me.
on the chat, I'm posting the last the list of native add-on that we used the last time. It's on the chat.
Which number is that? Oh,
There
chat.
it
Okay,
is.
sorry, the chat. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's your file, Gabriel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Why can't I get that to show? There it is.
and
Okay.
I think that I can go through all this repo and see if now they are an API add-on or not, and update this list.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There are, I think that most of these modules are already implemented with the classical API. It's except for node micro time, node time for sure, and node icon V. So for the rest, I think that the situation is this.
Okay, because this was a list that that we validated the authors were okay with us using them. So if we strip out the ones that have N-API ones and then have that list, that sounds like a good thing to have with us.
Okay.
And then it could be like, we'll probably have, I mean, we'll have more like individual workshops that people can go through. So that'll take more time. And then we can say like, we've got this list, or if you've got something in mind yourself and there's time left over, then we can help.
And maybe if they will not finish the work, they can reach us at Code and Learn, for example.
Right. Yes. Yeah, especially
So,
you're right. If we do get a like a session on the testing, then we'd still be a good place for people to come and ask follow-on questions and stuff.
okay, good. It's all for me. If you have
Small correction. I just looked at it. Wrap up and assessment. Weekly N-API meeting Thursday, 1:30 Eastern Standard. That has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monday.
So I guess it's like, you know, for other people like Kevin and Legendicast, if you're going to be at the conference, let Nicola know so that he can add you in.
I will not be at the conference, unfortunately.
But add slide as the last because you in my opinion, you contributed a lot with Threadsafe expansion on async work. So it's right. Recognize this work.
That's fine with me.
Sounds good. So Jim, do you have anything to add on the development of the new workshop?
Yeah, I do. So I am in the process now of pulling it all together into a preview site that I will have up this week. And so when I have that preview site up, I will put a link on this issue.
Okay, and is that preview site, is that something we'd want to share in advance in terms of like, hey, if you're coming?
The preview site is meant for reviews by the team.
Okay.
And then once that's been reviewed, then I'll put it up live. And then
Okay, right.
once it's up live, then people are more than welcome to look at it.
Okay, because yeah, at that point we should do some advance publicity if we can as well.
Right, exactly.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else on the workshop front? No, okay, so future breakage. I don't think I remember any new comments. Kind of wondering if we should close this one and move on to a different issue or something. Like it's kind of it's a topic we've used in terms of looking at ones that are out there.
Actually,
the issue itself is a bit old.
Come to think of it, if and when Nicola goes through that spreadsheet, he may have more things to post here, right? Because this has sort of become a collection of all the ones that have been posted.
Right. Yeah.
Moved to an API. It's kind of a good resource that way. Even if we close it, I think we can still update it after we close it, just to keep it around as a resource.
Right. Yeah. It's almost like it would have been nice if we had one that was titled actually that, like new things that have been ported or something.
Yeah. Because the thing is, the fundamental problem with getting a handle on what has been ported and has not is that figuring out what has been ported to know that on API is super easy because it's a separate package and you can check the reverse dependencies, right? But
right.
the things that use an API directly are really hard to find because they don't depend on anything special.
Right.
You know? So that's why, especially the ones that use an API directly are really good if we mention them here.
Right. I'm just wondering if we should like open a new issue to continue that at some point.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know at what point.
Continuity.
Like it's, we could be, what would the issue be titled in terms of, would it be like, newly ported to N-API for 2019, and then like we could have one issue per year, or?
Honestly, I would be okay with just with just renaming this issue, like tracking issue for an API portage or whatever that word is that means what was ported.
Right.
Is it an issue or should it be a wiki page or a documentation page?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because I sort of get your point about keeping the list, but I'm not sure that this is terribly discoverable, right?
Yeah, true. I mean, yeah, it's basically for us essentially so far. Yeah. Like,
could we put a link to that spreadsheet in the contributing markdown file? Maybe, I don't know. Like, are we just worried that it's not easily findable, this spreadsheet or something?
Well, it's just like this is an issue that says let's avoid this, right?
Yeah.
But we're kind of, well, it's a year beyond this list being the active list. We've pasted, other modules, which is, so it's kind of like this is a good idea to have a place where we can paste and sort of report these things, but is continuing to just adding them into this issue the right way to do it was the only thing I was wondering.
Okay. Mm.
Like you said, a page on the wiki or somewhere is good. For
maybe
sure.
We can track all. We can track all with the issue and write something in a markdown file where we summarize all the activity about the porting that we did in in an year, or maybe, I don't know.
The thing about a markdown file is, right, like if we have to file a PR every time we want to edit it, that can get complicated, right? Because then the PR
Takes
needs
more
to sit
effort.
around. Yeah, exactly. Whereas having something that you can just edit in place would be ideal, I think. And then every once in a while, when somebody bumps into a new module, or so an issue gets filed regarding an old module, then we can say, oh, by the way, let's update that particular record, and see what the downloads per week are nowadays. Maybe the module has gone out of favor, maybe it has become more popular, who knows, and then just upload or update the downloads per week, and just leave a comment saying, updated as of, and then today's date, and that kind of thing. So basically make it as passive as possible, sort of a dragnet, if you will. Whenever we bump into it, we'll remember to update the table or not, and then it won't be like the absolute authority on what the state is of NAPI adoption, but it'll be a pretty good proxy.
Yeah. Okay. You're
Yeah,
right.
I think this is good, actually. Just have an issue, and then we just edit the initial comment. Just add a table, like a markdown table, and then just edit it.
Like we could do that.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
Like if you,
I'm thinking we could be cumulative beyond a year too. Like, well, we can always edit the title too. So there you go. It'll just be.
I'm just thinking like it eventually gets long, right? And do you actually scroll down to the bottom?
Yeah,
Issue.
true. Yeah, okay.
So,
We'll just have a linked list of issues.
right. I don't know, like tell me if this doesn't make sense, but it just, because then we could link to this other issue, right?
Yeah.
Let's just see if I can find that.
It's it's in a bistable node.
Right.
In,
Yes.
in
Okay. Right. Issues.
Yeah, maybe also link to the spreadsheet.
Yeah, the title. So you have to change the title.
Right.
2018.
Right. Yes. Okay. To 2019.
Okay.
Like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll just close this one. And then I'll tag that. At some point, I may set up the meeting generation thing to do the right thing, but for now, we'll just tag it with the milestone. So, okay. Let's just see, that'll show up now. Where did that show up? Oh, it's down at the bottom. Okay, well, actually, didn't I close this one? Don't need to.
Maybe you only commented.
I just commented, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the SQLite port. Jim, anything to resolve, report on that front?
We have contributions from a new contributor. I posted our findings from the last time we had a meeting, and I've not heard back from the other contributor. So I will follow up on that this week.
Sounds good. Burn down list of issues raised by module owners, and list of issues in the node repo. Any particular ones that we should call out?
We received on Node.js N-API, the maintainer of level down asked us about the flag of -f visibility that we advise to use on on macOS to support macOS, and I try to explain the reason about this.
Is that
Okay,
is
I
it
will
that
find the.
okay? Yeah, I was going to wonder, like, we added some documentation, but maybe that's still not clear enough.
Okay, the issue is the 460.
In Node Add-on API?
Yeah. It was a closed issue.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Let me just pick one then and say 460.
Oh, that's a pull request.
I hope that I answered right. My answer was right. It's the only request we received, I think.
Yeah. Yep. It sounds about right, your explanation.
Okay, good.
And it sounds like they were happy with your
Okay.
answer too. So
Okay. So
okay, any other ones to be called out?
Yes, I have one. Let's see, on Node Add-on API, it's issue 556.
Okay. Go back to issues.
So the issue here that they have is that they would like to use the TSFN wrapper on an existing N-API Threadsafe function. So using that constructor. And the issue that we have is that the wrapper that we made for the TSFN is not really a one-to-one mapping of the API, in the sense that when we create the N-API TSFN, we have a different method, a different C++ function that we pass for the that callback function, the one that gets the native C++ data and transforms it into a JavaScript value. And the reason that we have that wrapper or whatever is so that in blocking call and non-blocking call, you pass a separate callback function. That functionality isn't there in the underlying N-API Threadsafe function. You only have one function that you register it with, and it's that. But this wrapper, we pass a wrapping of the data and your callback function to our internal callback that we register it with. So it doesn't behave correctly if you construct this wrapper with a TSFN, an N-API TSFN that already exists, and you've provided it your own callback, obviously, that's not really the internal one that our wrapper expects.
Yeah, it's not going to get called.
Right.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
it
might not be usable then. Like that might just be the answer. If you've built your own N-API Threadsafe function using the underlying API, you can't mix the two.
So I can think of two different approaches. One I documented in here, and sort of that's like keeping track of the constructor that was called. And if you use non-blocking call or blocking call with this, I guess if you scroll down a little bit, in this issue, that list here, I guess.
Yep.
That was one way I thought of it. But then I thought of another way just now and just adding a new method that that would be like the non-blocking or blocking call, but would be sort of a direct one. So it would call the N-API call Threadsafe function directly instead of going through the wrapper. But this is one way that I have here, but I don't know if it is worthwhile.
Oh, yeah. Well, we do have several variants of blocking call, and I'm assuming non-blocking call equally. So I mean, we have, let's see, we have empty, we have callback, and then we have data type and callback. So if we added a fourth one that's just data type, you know, then that would assume that the callback is already taken care of, right? So and then that is how it would work with the low-level implementation, because the low-level implementation doesn't accept the callback; it only accepts a data type, right?
Right.
So if you had a variant of blocking call and non-blocking call that only takes a data type, then that implementation would make the assumption that the callback is somehow taken care of.
Right, that makes sense. Yes. And then if you wanted to call it directly with no data, you would just pass null pointer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully it works out. It's just at first blush, that looks like what we might want.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll go through that and then create some tests and see what happens.
All right, cool.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you.
So there was that one, and then I created a new PR. Michael, I think you saw it, for adding the ref and unref.
Yep.
Yeah. That was just a simple one because they were missing. However, this one is going to conflict with the copy constructor PR.
Right.
So one just has to be merged in first, and then I can update the other, I believe.
Yeah, this one's been open for a while and is pretty straightforward. Let's see, where's the copy constructor one?
Yeah, the 546.
5.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I think unless anybody else has any more comments or concerns, they're probably both ready to land. Does landing one earlier than the other easier?
I would do the copy constructor first.
Okay. Okay, I'll try and land. Go ahead.
For the ref and unref, I'm just skimming over the test now. Are you testing that the process exits even though a Threadsafe function is in place?
Correct.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah, so there I see some spawns there, which is good, but okay, so that's what you're testing for. Okay, good to know that the overall concept is right. I'll just have a look at it, and then I'll probably give the thumbs up as well. Okay.
Okay, well, I'll try and land the copy constructor one today then, so you can then rebase. And...
One question though. So there is one thing. There is one check that's sort of hard to make, right? Like if it is refed, then you have to check that the process doesn't exit, right? But how can you check for that? Because then that means you have to check whether it hangs or not. That's
right. I only tested unref.
Okay.
Because ref, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, I didn't test that one because that's like the default behavior almost, you know?
Yeah. It's kind of hard to test because, like, how do you prove that it's hung and not just going to exit 2 seconds from now? You know, that's like a fundamental Turing sort of problem. Is it going to hang or not? That you
Right. I mean,
test
the
that.
only thing I can, I don't know.
I mean, you
Well,
can make a time-based test where you wait for 5 seconds or
Yeah,
something,
pretty
but those
much,
can
yeah.
always run into problems. So
Yes. But I mean, the reason, like, it's kind of like the test passes or the test fails if it exits within those 5 seconds, right? So
Mhm.
in that sense, we can kind of do a time test, because if it exits after 5 seconds, yes, we don't know whether it exited, whether it exited because the thing was unrefed, or whether it exited because it was refed, but then the process quit anyway,
Yeah.
right? So we don't know.
I think a unrefed timer would help in this situation.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's safe to write a test that waits 5 seconds, because if it exits sooner, then that's a bug, right? It's supposed to hang forever, right?
Yeah. It's a bug somewhere. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
guess our like test, the amount of time the tests take to run aren't that long, so adding 5 seconds is still okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So it should exit like immediately, right? Or I'm sorry, it should wait. Which one is this? I'm confused, but I know the timer will work.
The challenge with the challenge with saying does it exit in time, like if you unref it and you expect it to exit and you wait a certain amount of time, like
And
I
it
guess
still hasn't exited, then
still
unref
hasn't
doesn't
exited,
work.
that still could be like something that could be an OS problem where for some reason you got interrupted for.
Right. Yeah, it hasn't gotten a chance to
Right.
react to the unreffing. Yeah, but that's a
Yeah.
very, very low probability.
It is
So-
low enough, and yeah, that I'm just saying that you will always have that risk of
Yeah.
false failures, but probably pretty low likelihood.
Yeah, the only time is if you run it like on a really, really loaded system. So
Well, actually, the other thing you could do is, like Node has a shutdown hook, right?
The before exit.
Yeah,
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that. Like, if there's some sort of hook we could use that basically says when it's about to exit, we do something.
yeah, we have that. We have
Yeah,
process
so
on
like on
exit.
exit, send a message back, or print something out on the standard out.
Yeah.
That won't be time based, at least, right? In the case of a failure, you will hang forever, but then we should.
I think the approach of starting the process and expecting it to hang forever is fine. I think that makes sense. I do
exactly.
sort of the opposite. I do sort of the opposite in the other test where you do unref. Like I create a timer, and if the process has not exited within 5 seconds, the test fails. So it's sort of the same thing, controversial. So I think I'll go with that route.
Exactly. Yes. If the process has exited within 5 seconds, then that's a problem, because it shouldn't. It should hang forever.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So in the second case, you should have to kill the process.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Right. Oh, yeah. Okay. Any other?
I
have nothing.
I think there will be one we should. It's in Node.js N-API, and it's 565.
565. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned it. It's a breaking change that we should discuss. I have tested that this kind of usage should be hard in wild usage, since it will crash anyway. So
okay, so basically it's already
so yes, it's basically crashing already. So yes, it's a breaking change on API side, but it can be used in real world. So I think it will be safe to land in this case.
So So basically it's just removing the copy constructor, right?
Yeah.
Does anybody have any concerns? I think I'm agreeing that, like, if you're basically going to get a crash already because of that, then it's so the likelihood of somebody using it today is low enough that even though it's breaking, it's probably the right thing to do.
And additionally, I think in NAN and in V8, these things have no copy constructors. So the fact that we left them in place is probably an oversight on our part. Is that they are supposed to be used exactly just declared and then let them go out of scope, and that's it. They cannot be assigned. They cannot, they don't have these constructors, I don't believe, in V8 or in NAN. So I think if we followed suit, it would make sense, because that is the correct behavior for them to have. They basically, I mean, in my mind, this handle scope basically is an explicit way of declaring like a brace in JavaScript. It's the equivalent of adding a pair of braces in JavaScript. And so, it makes sense semantically. It makes sense sort of in terms of code legibility that they don't have these handle scope, or that they don't have these constructors. And it makes sense in terms of prior art from V8 and from NAN. So I think we should remove them, like the constructors.
Yeah. Aside from this PR, I think there is a related one that how do we handle this errors thrown from handle constructors and destructors?
Yeah.
I have marked them as fatal errors, but I don't think there might be concerns that this would.
Just before we move on to that one, is what I've written here what we've agreed for this one? That, like, the team is comfortable, it's extremely unlikely this will break any existing code, as the code would already be breaking, would already be crashing. And V8 and N don't have the copy constructor, so they don't make sense. Consensus is we should remove them.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Okay, so sorry, I just wanted to make sure. I'll remove my comment and we can say that that's ready to land. Okay, so sorry, you wanted to bring up, which was the number of the other one?
I think it's 566.
Okay.
I think there is no way to handle this handle scope errors, so it's reasonable to mark this as fatal errors.
Yeah, we can't throw it here.
Still, this is a built-in change on the API side.
Right, now fatal if failed, does that throws an
yeah, fatal aborts.
Right, so it'll actually, like, I think my question was around, in the past, if you called these, nothing would have happened, right?
Yeah.
You would keep on going, even though you did the wrong thing. And if we change that, put that change in, we're probably going to be causing it to stop. So is there any chance of, like, existing code which would be doing the wrong thing but getting away with it?
Yeah, code which would be using the assignment operator and or the copy constructor. That code would also fatally die if we landed this.
But we're basically saying we're removing the ability to use the copy constructor, so that's not an issue.
So that code at that point wouldn't even build after we land the copy constructor change.
Yeah.
Well, we're assuming it doesn't exist.
Exactly. So I think the same argument applies here. If such code exists, then it will break silently right now. And if we land these, we will be much more pedantic about how we handle it, but it is the right thing to do, and it is the way NAN and V8 do it.
So is there any way that these, like this close handle scope, would fail for some other reason today?
Well, let me have a look at the implementation. I don't think it's very likely, but let me have a look
Yeah,
anyway.
I have checked this before this stage. There is no NPI this other than NPI OK and NPI double close that one mismatch. So unlikely
Right,
there
yeah.
is an
Yeah, I mean, it can throw the mismatch, right? But only if you've used the copy constructor, right? Otherwise, it should be pretty safe. So if you do things the right way, it should not fail.
Okay, so we don't believe there's going to be any code, any working code that's out there that this will hit.
Yeah, this is the only thing it can do is, yeah, is if the, yeah, if you have a scope mismatch, and you can only get a scope mismatch if you use the copy constructor. So yeah, the two are pretty much two sides of the same coin.
Okay, so
Okay.
so if we said 566.
Yeah, delete. Okay. Yeah, and this whole thing stems from the fact that we are heap allocating the handle scope because we have no choice, right? Because it's it is a C structure, so we can't stack allocate it. It doesn't have, you know, stuff that it does on going out of scope. It doesn't have that concept in C. So then we have to heap allocate it, and then we have to worry about its life cycle, and this is part of that.
So it's just, sorry, I'm just going to blow over that. Make it explicit. Okay, so basically, so okay, so basically we believe this will not break not break any existing code and is okay to land as a batch fixing a bug.
Yep.
Okay, so maybe and I might just go back to here. Because we're not going to bump the Semver here, right? I mean, I think, because if we bump the Semver, then we're admitting there might be some code out there.
Well, it's not entirely unheard of. I mean, but again, I think its value as a bug fix outweighs whatever breakage it may cause, because it basically exposes a bug that is there, right?
Right. But I'm just thinking now, like in the previous case, it's easy, like it's behind the scenes. So we're saying, yeah, that can land as a Semver patch. This one, I mean, we could potentially bump the Semver on Node.js N-API, even though we don't think it's going to make a difference. But then that would mean people won't get the new version. So what do we think we should do on that front?
Well, bumping the Semver would certainly give people more slack, right? If I understand correctly.
Yeah, well, basically it means, I just wonder if like anybody's going to be worried that this is a Semver breakage. So, but maybe we just should bump Semver and say, yes, it is, but it's okay. It's not really we don't think that means that it's going to, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever is out there in binary will continue to work.
Sure,
That's the bottom
exactly,
line,
yeah.
right? So that's the good thing about API stability. Like whatever is out there will continue to work no matter what. So yeah, and then updates are basically updates because of this can be rolled in with updates for feature development reasons. They didn't, basically we are avoiding causing an update because we broke something, because whatever is out there already in binary will continue to work.
Right.
So then yes, people will have to update the code whether they like it or not, because it will no longer compile because there's no longer the constructor out there, but they can roll that update in with other updates and it's not going to hold anybody up. So
Right.
we're not causing code churn because of our changes, right?
Right, even though we're saying it's okay to do because we don't believe there's any code out there that actually does it.
Yeah, so yeah, we have several reasons, right? A, it's unlikely that code is out there, especially if people follow the NAN model and the V8 model, which is to declare these on the stack, right? So if people follow that model, then there's no reason to assume that it will be broken. So that's one reason. The other reason is that even if people did use it the wrong way and people downloaded the result and installed it, it will continue to work with every version of Node that comes out. It'll just have these silent failures. So it's not going to break anybody. And for the purposes of updating, if the module is left behind and nobody makes any more updates to it, then they're not going to update the package JSON to depend on this new semver either, right? And so anybody who recompiles it in the future will continue to receive these silent failures, but will otherwise be okay. And if the module is still being maintained, then they will have other reasons to update it besides just this. And this is not a blocking reason to update the module.
Right.
So we should be safe.
So, okay, so this should be semver major. I'm actually thinking back to the previous one. It should potentially be semver major as well.
Yeah.
Right, because, oops, I just do that on the wrong one. Guess I'm going to remove this. Okay, so we should bump the semver major when we do this. If anybody finds that strange, we can basically explain how we don't think it's actually going to affect anybody, so that's why we decide to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's an unlikely thing.
But it still is technically semver major, so we'll flag it as such. Okay. Because it's not breaking ABI. This part is not ABI. That's why we've left ourselves the flexibility. This piece is not ABI. It does not depend on your ABI stability. It doesn't affect your ABI stability. If you've got something that's already compiled, it continues to work. If you do upgrade, you may have to make some code changes, but we don't expect it to happen. And like if you go to, no, I guess you'd have to actually update your version of the add-on. It doesn't matter if you updated your version of Node or not. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Any others then?
Our last release was in July, so I think that we need starting it for a new release, maybe in November, if you agree.
Makes sense to me. I was thinking the same thing. So we probably have, I think we have a few PRs. So we have a number of ones we'd like to get landed, but once we get that set landed, it would be a good idea to have a release.
I will provide to open the issue, and we can add all the task that we need to be to do before to create the release.
Sounds good.
So
Okay.
shall we make this one the same for major then?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like since we say we don't think it's really going to matter to anybody, we might as well do it this time. Right?
Yeah. Get it over with. Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
One another thing, since you mentioned the same major, is that Begin API right now is marketed with API version that 547.
547, right?
Right. It's now scoped as an API version with a very big integer number. It should be aligned with the Node API.h that it's marked scoped with API experimental.
Yeah, that one I just have to go back because there is some code in our CI that lets us run with the right versions, and it's probably okay. I just have this, for some reason, I think this, like it might have been specifically the way it was so that the testing would work out.
Yeah, it's actually have been working on this NPM experimental test. I think the PR already exists, but there might be problem I could fix recently.
Well, it's this is testing very similar to the same thing. Like N-API, this number here is what the N-API version gets set to if you've defined N-API experimental.
Yeah, I know that, but there still might be slightly different if we predefine API version as a number, but we still could define a API experimental.
Okay. See, I think I know what's going on here.
Right. What I can't remember is that in here, like we actually do some setting of versions. So the key thing is like what I'm thinking, and I haven't had time to look, is potentially it would cause tests not to be run that we do run today. Or it might cause that's the one thing I'm wondering, like, because we end up saying what version does this version support, we then set the experimental version.
Yeah, I think I have proposed a PR that is about 545. I think we should distinguish which feature should be in which API, such as Node major version. Some just a period before that, big into and API data, they are both marked as API experimental, but they have different Node major version stages.
Yeah, that one again, you're probably right. I just haven't had time to think it through yet. Because in general, I'm not, we shouldn't really be checking Node major versions, but it might make sense in this particular case. I just haven't had time to think about it.
And I think we can stop worrying about begin once 8 is off the table, right? Because I believe 8 is the last one that doesn't have begin. So we're not going to have that kind of a problem.
Yes. Because once 10, was begin part of 5 or?
No. Begin is still experimental because
still experimental, right? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Right.
It remains experimental because we can't bring it across all of them.
Right. Okay.
Because we don't have
right. So you're saying we can start to bring it. We could make like a 6, which actually has it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. We could actually make it part of 6.
Right. I guess if there was a real demand, we could do it now. It would just mean that nothing more could be backported to 8.
Yeah.
which, you know, at this point is actually probably the case anyway. So.
True.
Okay, but yeah, I think we should, I agree we should resolve those two in this release as well. Just sorry, I haven't had time to think through them enough to be comfortable yet.
Okay, then I will continue this this Topia.
Okay, any other things we are now 15 minutes, are we 15 minutes? Yeah, we're 15 minutes over. Anything else we should talk about, or should we call it for today?
I'm good.
Same
Nothing.
here.
No, okay, well then thanks for everybody's time, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.